Hi, this is Eric Metcalf, and you're watching the Unhappy Hour.
Broadcasting to you live from the Milky Way galaxy, the solar system, planet Earth, North America, the United States of America, California, Los Angeles to be specific. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Unhappy Hour here on the TNAM Sports Network. Because the news always matters. And the news in the sporting world has been about the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns have made a flurry of trades. Jarvis Landry, wide receiver. Lots of production last year for the Dolphins. He's coming on board. Tyrod Taylor, quarterback of the Buffalo Bills. He's coming on board. DeShone Kizer, one and done. What was it, 22 interceptions? Man, that guy made so many boneheaded plays. He could throw it. He could definitely throw it, but he could not seem to make a good decision to save his life. Certainly not enough to save his career with the Browns. How bad do you have to be to get axed after 1 year? But I'll tell you what, it's John Dorsey. He's got every right as the new GM to come in and make the decisions that he wants to make. So we were trading players, bringing in defensive backs from the Green Bay Packers, Damarious Randall, and getting rid of Danny Shelton. The Browns do not have a lot of draft picks left from the previous regimes, but we're used to this. Same old stories. All right, Zach, welcome back to the program. We're going to talk about the Cleveland Browns right now. I know we normally like to talk Cleveland Cavaliers, but man, the Cleveland Browns are the story of the NFL. Walk us through what John Dorsey, the new general manager of the team, did over the past couple of days, because it was fast and furious, and they are trading their assets away in terms of draft picks and accumulating proven players.
First and foremost, I'm gonna go out there and I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say it, and you can hold me to it. But I think the Browns are gonna win a game this year.
I thought you were gonna say we're gonna go to the playoffs.
Brian, come on. I'm willing to put this on the line saying they're likely to win a game this year.
They're likely to win a game. I'll say playoffs, but it's okay. I understand. You're pragmatic.
No, so I mean, here's the thing. When they traded this year's third rounder, for Tyrod Taylor, which I love, do I think Tyrod Taylor's going to be here for more than a year or two? No, I don't. However, I do like that. I love that they got Tyrod Taylor. It gives them an option at quarterback for a guy who doesn't turn over the ball. The biggest Browns problem last season was turning the ball over in the red zone.
Yeah, Kizer was horrible.
They have no receivers that can catch the ball. You've just gained the best possession receiver in the NFL in Jarvis Landry. Guy caught 112 balls last year.
Didn't he lead the NFL? He led the NFL, right?
Yep. Here's the thing. The Browns, I mark my words on this one, too. You're going to likely see them either at Terrell Pryor, and apparently from Jason Lock-and-Fleur still reporting the Browns are hot after Allen Robinson as well.
Wow.
Imagine that core. Imagine a core. You're not going to sign them both, but let's say hypothetically you sign Allen Robinson. I think it's more likely Terrell Pryor comes back. However, if you have Josh Gordon, Allen Robinson, and Jarvis Landry, and Corey Coleman, and David Njoku, and Duke Johnson, you've got a ton of targets next year.
Not to mention Saquon Barkley if we go that route.
Here's the thing. You still need to take a quarterback at one, and I still believe the Browns will take a quarterback at one. There's a reason they traded DeShone Kizer. People aren't realizing that, too. You traded DeShone Kizer for Damarious Randall, who was a first-round pick 2 years ago, who is a solid player. Is he amazing? No, but he's solid. He definitely helps the Browns within their secondary, who could be slotted at the nickel.
And he was a little inconsistent. He flashed some brilliance, but then he kind of had a down year, and then he was up and down. So, I mean, I'm not sure what...
I mean, he was decent. He was nothing special, but he wasn't bad.
Okay.
Kizer was bad. Here's the thing. Kizer could develop into a decent quarterback someday. I don't want to completely write him off. If he was very young with a team with very little talent. The Browns still have their 5 biggest assets in this year's draft. Their 5 first and second round picks, 2 first rounders, 3 second rounders. The Browns are still loaded. Hypothetically, you go out there and you draft a guy like Darnold, whether it's Baker Mayfield, Josh Rosen, or Josh Allen, at 1, and you come back. You don't need to take Barkley at number 1 overall. He's a running back. Brian, the best running backs in the league, Le'Veon Bell, what round was he drafted in? 2nd round by Pittsburgh. Okay. Kareem Hunt, 3rd round. Where have you, other than Adrian Peterson?
Ezekiel Elliott.
And Zeke, yep. But Dallas was very fortunate to happen to find their quarterback in that draft. And they got very lucky. You're not really going to find a quarterback that's going to take your team to 13 wins in his rookie season as a fourth-round pick. I do not believe taking Saquon Barkley at number 1 is the right move. I'd much rather have Darius Geis at 33 or Nick Chubb or Ronald Jones towards the top of the second round. I think it's much tougher to get an impact safety or an impact shutdown corner or even an impact defensive end like Bradley Chubb from NC State than it is to get an impact running back. Running backs can be had all over the place. Just remember, John Dorsey's never taken a running back in the first round of the draft.
Ever. And so who has Dorsey got that did well? We got Kareem Hunt.
Yep.
I'm not familiar with this.
He had a bunch of guys.
Okay.
Jamal Charles, he had a bunch of guys.
Oh, Jamal, what round did he? Yeah, I got to double check where he went in the draft. But, I mean, look, he has a plan. He has a process, and he's the new GM. He has every right to go through his plan and his process. And they're making moves. They have tons of salaries.
Here's the thing. Yeah, and that's the thing is they're finally making moves. Is their team right now legitimately better than it was a year ago heading into free agency? Yes. It is better now than it was at the end of the season. If you were to put Jarvis Landry and Tyrod Taylor as the starting quarterback of this team last year, along with Damarious Randall on his team, odds are they probably would have won 5 or 6 games.
Well, how about if we just had Todd Haley, an offensive coordinator that could focus on that task?
That's another thing that it allows you to do. Todd Haley's notorious for developing receivers. He did it in Arizona, and he did it in Pittsburgh. He's done it both places. Todd Haley's got a hell of a temper. He's apparently tough to work with, but the guys ran some pretty good offenses. I mean, don't forget, he did take the Arizona Cardinals to a Super Bowl with Kurt Warner as the quarterback down there. As the offensive coordinator, and then I believe it, yeah. And then he flamed out in Kansas City as the head coach. But he had Matt Castle as the starting quarterback, and then look how well he did with Pittsburgh.
Right.
So, I mean, take a look at it. The Browns are vastly improved than they were a year ago. The front office, I think, knows what they're doing. I tend to think I'm 99% sure they're taking the quarterback at number 1. I just cannot see them taking Saquon Barkley.
But we don't know which quarterback. Good.
Here's the thing: if he's not there at 4, you go and you take Minka Fitzpatrick, Bradley Chubb. You take the best player available. You don't need to take a running back at 4. There's no pressing need to take a running back at 4. When you can get a guy like Darius Geis who can share the backfield with Duke Johnson, there's no point.
What's going on?
Ronald Jones.
What's going on with Crowell? Is he gone?
Most likely, I would tend to think so. He didn't get the ball last year. If I were him, I wouldn't want to stay in Cleveland either.
Yeah.
If I were him, I'd go for a better opportunity where he can get 20 carries a game. He's a good running back. Hugh Jackson just didn't get that opportunity last year. I mean, I don't know if the Browns want to resign him. I don't know what John Dorsey's feel is, but the Browns haven't made any attempts so far, and it seems like he's going to hit free agency.
Right.
And they somehow lock him up in the next 24 hours. But legal tampering starts tomorrow.
Well, basically what's going on, now that we shipped Kizer out, we have totally emptied the cupboards. There's really nobody else on the roster quarterback that we want to even sniff the field, right?
No, I mean, here's the thing. Going into the season, here's what you want right now. It's either going to be, this is what it's going to be. It's going to be Tyrod Taylor, your second stringer is either going to be Cody Kessler or Kevin Hogan, and you're going to have your rookie on the bench. The goal is not to play the rookie at the earliest until week 9 or week 10 if he's going to play this season. You don't want to see that rookie playing week 1 or 2 no matter what. Because look, last year they threw DeShone Kizer into the fire too early, stunted his development, and he's gone. He's off the roster in 1 year.
Do you blame most of that on starting too early, or the fact that it wasn't that good and didn't have a good team around him?
I think it's all about. I don't think he was ready yet.
That's fair.
I think they stunted his development completely. I don't think he was ready. I've never seen a quarterback like Brian. Every time I knew last year when the Browns got in the red zone, I go, they're just somehow turn it over. I knew it every time. I wasn't just saying. I said they are going to literally turn over the football. If they get in the 5-10 yard line, they will turn over the football. It was a guarantee. They were more likely to turn it over last year inside the 5-10 yard line than they were to score a field goal. They couldn't punch it in the end zone. Kizer either fumbled the ball or threw a pick.
He threw so many red zone picks. It was terrible.
I've never seen anything like it. The Browns kicked themselves in the ass so many times last year because of, now you've got a quarterback that's thrown, 16 interceptions or 18 interceptions over the last 3 seasons combined?
Man, that's just, not so good.
Tyrod Taylor's a game manager. He reminds me a lot of an Alex Smith type. He's not going to turn over the football. He protects it. Are you going to go over and score 40-something points a game with him? No, he's got good legs. Your offensive line, let's say hypothetically Joe Thomas does come back, you're pretty set at the tight end unless you go and trade for a guy like Eric Ebron, who can play alongside David Njoku, which gives you some nice help over there. But I think Seth DeVal is developing nicely over there. You've got Njoku, who really came on at the end of the season. Especially having a good quarterback throwing them the football help too. I think the Browns made all the necessary and right moves so far in order to entice other free agents to come here. I think it will be much easier to sell Cleveland over the next couple days to some tier 1 free agents than it was 3 days ago. Or it is, we're DeShone Kizer, we're not starting a quarterback. Just even telling Joe Thomas, people around the league are looking at it, and they're going, wow, the Browns made some moves. They're trying to win again. This is a new front office in place.
Absolutely, man.
They traded Danny Shelton because of the emergence of Larry Ogunjobi last year. Ogunjobi had a great year. I don't think people realize how strong he was and how good he was, especially on pass down, something that Danny Shelton was terrible on pass down, which is why they traded him. It's good to just let's call the Ray Farmer era over in Cleveland. That roster's been stripped to the studs, and the Sashi Brown era, for that matter, is almost over as well. When you're talking about the roster over there, there's going to be so much changeover. So much changeover.
Yeah. It's astonishing to look at how few draft picks in the first and second round are still on this team from the past since Joe Thomas. We have Joe Thomas and who else over the past?
Miles Garrett and Corey Coleman are still here. And, I think Miles Garrett will be a great player. But Myles Garrett was a can't-miss prospect. I really do like Myles Garrett a lot. I think he's a great player.
I don't know about his...
Give me him or Mitch Trubisky. I would take Myles Garrett any day over Mitch Trubisky.
Yeah, well, what I want to see from Myles Garrett, I want to check his motor, and I want to check his heart.
Brian, every time he was out there last year, he flat out dominated when he was on the field last year. He was great.
Right, and I'm not saying that...
Don't watch the tape. He was great. Especially, it's hard putting a guy into a team, and two, when you don't have any veterans to help develop and coach these players, it stunts their growth, it stunts development big time. When you put in a veteran presence, and now you've got guys, imagine having a motivated Joe Thomas and Kevin Zeitler and J.C. Treader on the offensive line, going in there as motivated, and Joel Bitonio, and bringing in a guy like Jarvis Landry, and now Josh Gordon, you're not going to see him itching to get out of town being pissed off. This will open up opportunities for Gordon. This will prevent double teams on Gordon. Especially adding Allen Robinson or Terrell Pryor, getting another big receiver in there. And having Corey Coleman as your fourth receiver will open up the field for all these guys. You're talking some really good receivers. A guy like Terrell Pryor thrived in Hugh Jackson's offense before, although they were changing the offensive scheme with Todd Haley as coordinator. So you'll definitely see some turnaround. I would love to add Allen Robinson, but not at $15 million a year. I'd much rather add Terrell Pryor at $6 million a year, $8 million. I think it's a much better fit for the Browns.
Do you think he's going to command that much?
I don't know what he's going to command, to tell you the truth.
He's coming off of a horrible campaign. Maybe we could buy him low. And the Browns luckily have a ton of cash to spend. We're not done. We're going to make a bunch of waves in free agency too. I don't think we're done with this at all.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to it. Danny Shelton, do you think that we got enough back for Danny Shelton? 1.5 sacks over 3 years is pretty weak.
He's a run stuffer and who was up for a new contract after next year, and I don't think the Browns wanted to re-sign him.
Kind of like Tyrod Taylor.
Next year anyway.
Then why don't we trade him for Tyrod Taylor straight up?
I don't know if the Bills wanted Danny Shelton.
I know. I'm just saying 2 players on the last year of their contract, just swap them. But yeah, it's great to see these moves. It's a little bit like Kevin Costner in draft day. Making moves, accumulating draft picks.
It's refreshing to see something like this happening too. It was like Chris Grant built up all the assets in Cleveland, and the Cavaliers went out, and then and David Griffin took over and traded him, and they've been in the championship 3 straight years.
Right.
Partially because of all the assets they stocked up. And that's the thing is make sure you go in there with the, I'll give Sashi Brown credit for stripping a roster down to the studs and accumulating draft picks. Yes, he did that correctly.
Yeah.
However, in the process, we passed on 2 franchise quarterbacks in Deshaun Watson and Carson Wentz because of it, and wound up with Corey Coleman and not much else.
Well,
draft 2 years ago.
Well, I mean, passing up Deshaun Watson, we're going to find out what we get. That's the number 4 pick this year. So, yeah, I mean, it's an unwritten chapter, of course. It's an unwritten chapter. So, I mean, it just comes down to...
Though, let's put it this way. So far, Philadelphia kicked Cleveland's ass in that trade.
I can't argue with you. They're Super Bowl champ, and we're rebuilding off a 0-win season. It's tough to argue that point. So I'll concede there. So I guess then in free agency, when that thing kicks in, you're mainly looking to see what? Maybe not necessarily players, but are there positions you're looking to that you're really hoping to fortify?
I think they still need to add another wide receiver, whether it be Allen Robinson or Terrell Pryor or even a Paul Richardson.
Okay.
Maybe a right tackle as well, but now you got to start filling up the defensive side of the ball a little bit. You still need to add a linebacker. You still need to add a safety. They don't have any safeties on the roster. Adding Minka Fitzpatrick to pair him with Jabril Peppers, I think would be a huge help. And then adding a quality defensive end or a quality defensive tackle in free agency would help too. I mean, Emmanuel Ogbah's impact player and Myles Garrett's an impact player. I think Joe Schobert's good. I don't think Schobert's great. I think Jamie Collins can flash greatness at times, but a lot of times he looks average. The Browns still need a lot of help. This is an 0-16 football team, mainly because of their quarterback and their offense having no skill positions. However, the defense is nothing to write home about.
It has moments.
The defense collapsed at their biggest points last season, holding a 2 or 3 touchdown lead against Green Bay in the 4th quarter and blowing it in 6 minutes.
We need to get some playmakers in there.
The defense lost football games for this team last year. They need to add quality pieces, depth, and talent. This roster is so thin on both sides of the football. You need to consistently add, and the Browns have the ability to do that through the draft and through free agency. They still have at least $66 million in cap room at this point. To go fill in 3 or 4 more starters in free agency, and then you can fill in. Don't forget, 4 out of those 5 picks can likely start for the Browns this season. Think about that. Of your first 5 picks, and the one I'm talking about that won't be starting is your number 1 pick.
Oh, that's interesting when you put it that way. Yeah.
Your number 4 pick will be starting. Your first pick in the second round will be starting. Your second pick in the second round will be starting, and likely your third pick as well. So here's the thing: odds are you're likely grabbing 3 starters from day 1 in this draft immediately. Fill another 3 holes in free agency. You've suddenly added 12 starters this year, and add some depth, and then you're adding even 2 more in the future. That's where I like this with the Browns. It's suddenly, don't forget John Dorsey took over a 1-15 football team with the Chiefs, or 1-15, and took them to 11-5 in his first season as a GM in Kansas City.
That's what I expect.
I'm not expecting the Browns to go 11-5. If you told me the Browns were going 11-5, I'd give you my last nut.
Well, I don't want it, but
I literally laid it out on the table to you.
I don't want it. Maybe we'll make that our fantasy baseball trophy then, or if you get the unhappy hour bracket.
My left nut, but I'm confident the Browns are not winning 11 games. However, I hope I'm wrong. I'd love to see the Browns make the playoffs, win 9 or 10 games. I think it'd be great.
Of course,
I think it'd be a positive step for the franchise. I still think they have a long way to go, but this definitely shores up the process and saying, okay, rather than being, at this point, taking another 4 or 5 years of rebuilding, maybe you can turn this into a 2-year rebuild with what you ended up. I mean, here's the thing, Brian. If they get a quarterback and they hit a home run on the quarterback, and he's ready after a year, then it's huge.
What? I think we just lost you there. Either you dropped the phone. Okay, yeah, your line just went. Let's see if we can get Zak Baris back on the phone. I mean, I get what he was saying. And the question I was going to ask was about, what if we throw everything for a loop and go with...
Your call has been forwarded to an automated voice.
See, my question is, what if we went ahead and did not draft? one of these quarterbacks in the top. I feel like we have to. I feel like you need a face of a franchise, but you have players out there. You could go get Nick Foles. You could go get Case Keenum. You could go get players that were leading team. I mean, you could bring in a quarterback literally who just won a Super Bowl. You know he's capable of doing it. Is that enough? Or do you need a number 1 pick? I don't know. And I'll tell you what, I'll give Zach one more chance here to come back in. I feel like the phone died. I hope he didn't. But yeah, that call ended rather abruptly. Let's see if this works. All right. So my question was where I was starting to bring this into was what do you think the chances are that we don't end up drafting a quarterback 1 or 4 and we go out and get Nick Foles or Case Keenum instead and bring 2 vets in?
Well, they've already brought in Tyrod Taylor. They're not bringing Case Keenum or Nick Foles.
You think that's a certainty?
There would be no reason to trade a third rounder for a backup quarterback. That'd be idiotic.
Well,
you could have gone out there and, and what it would cost to get Nick Foles at this point. You're not giving up the number 4 overall pick for Nick Foles. He's going to be a free agent in a year anyway.
Yeah, once again, all these players on expiring deals, it makes it very interesting.
Case Keenum is going to Denver, in my opinion. I think that Minnesota winds up with Kirk Cousins. I cannot see the likelihood of any quarterbacks coming to Cleveland unless it's a backup. And the Browns getting rid of Kessler or Kevin Hogan, but they haven't done that yet.
That's true. They got plenty of time to, but all right. So, I mean, look, we're back to kind of figuring out which of those quarterbacks is going to make sense. Everyone loves Saquon Barkley, but where is the value going to be?
Running back. Don't forget the last running back the Browns drafted that they traded up for and took at number 3. Look how well that panned out.
Trent. We got a first-round pick back for Trent.
We did.
Somehow. That was a brilliant move, although we didn't capitalize on it. But, we've been trying to do the same thing for a while now.
I believe we took Cam Irving with that pick.
I liked what they were thinking with the concept of a versatile offensive lineman. They just didn't get the right one.
It was a horrible choice at the time. I remember discussing it on your show. I was pissed when they did it. There was no reason for it. They were drafted. The team had plenty of holes anyway, and they drafted Alex Mack's future replacement. You had way more holes to fill than filling up for a backup offensive lineman at that point. It was just stupid.
And then they took him out of position and had him playing all these positions. And anyway,
the Browns had no receivers. They had nothing going in this year, and it was idiotic.
Yeah, I really hope Josh Gordon can keep his head on straight. Did you see the Odell Beckham video floating around?
I have.
What do you think there?
This guy was just smoking a cigarette and having some flowers.
Yeah, I agree. That's exactly what I was thinking too. No, because I heard Odell Beckham was on the trading block. That was kind of like the hot rumor for the past couple months.
Here's the thing: he might wind up being suspended. I mean, I don't know if the NFL is going to immediately drug test him, but he could very well wind up being suspended based on what fine. I mean, he's walking. He's walking on eggshells right now. We'll put it that way.
Yeah. Well, you know where I stand with that.
Josh Gordon, the NFL wouldn't even hesitate to suspend him at that point.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping Josh Gordon has his head on clean. I just have this weird feeling that we're going to see the day before the season, like we have every year for the last couple of years, is Josh Gordon suddenly relapses. I really hope. I hope that's not the case. I want what's best for Josh. I think he's an unbelievable talent. I would love to see what he do on the Browns, and I think it's great that so far he's turned his life around. But he needs to sustain that, and I think he could be a huge help to this football team, especially if he has his head on straight. That would be huge for the Browns.
Yeah, and you know where I
and just huge for him personally too. I hope for both people's sake, for the Browns, for Cleveland, for Josh's sake, that his head is on straight and he's able to please his fans this year, be good for himself. He's got a young daughter. I really hope he capitalizes on it and stays clean. I think it would be great for Josh. Yeah,
I would totally agree with you there. And my opinion on what I think Roger Goodell and the NFL need to do. I think when it comes to opioids and some of these horrible painkillers compared to what this can do and all the states making it as legal as cigarettes and beer, I would love to see the NFL be a little bit more proactive and kind of with the times as opposed to chasing their tail on this one. Just prohibition doesn't work. It's just a silly thing.
I completely agree.
Keeping a ban on steroids or something that does give a competitive advantage, I can understand that. That makes a lot of sense to me, but I don't know. A little bit of weed, it doesn't make sense. Okay, well, if we don't have any more Browns talk, do you have any further comments on maybe NBA action? Cavs lost a tough one to the Clippers the other night, play the Lakers tonight in my backyard.
Cavaliers are going to keep – here's the thing. People need to realize this roster's not whole until Kevin Love comes back healthy.
True.
You're not going to know. Right now, they're just treading water until Kevin Love comes back. It's not like – LeBron's not, don't forget, we've seen a different LeBron 3 years in a row come playoff time when he turns it on to 110%. He doesn't do that during the regular season. It's something he did in the regular season, his first go-around in Cleveland, and then you watched it slip with Miami a little bit, and to the point where he didn't need to, and I think he realized that they need to give it 75 to 85% during the regular season to go, okay, at least we need to win some games. And then it was, he's a whole different animal come the playoffs. I mean, he is unbelievable. I mean, it's constant triple-double. He's averaging 35 a game. I mean, he shoots at a much higher percentage. His turnover ratio is a lot lower. He actually plays defense. His PER skyrockets in the playoffs than it does compared to the regular season. It's not even close. And don't forget the stiff for the competition. Don't forget the Cavaliers have literally wiped the floor of the Eastern Conference over the last couple of years. Last year, they went 12-1. The year before, they went 12-2. The year before that, I think they went 12-2 again. I mean, the Cavaliers in the Eastern Conference, that's 36-5 in the Eastern Conference over the last 3 years in the playoffs against playoff teams. We're not talking about the Knicks and the Nets. We're talking about playoff teams going 36-5.
Yeah. You can't argue that. This year we don't have Kyrie though. That'll be a difference maker. And
that'll be tough for them. But that's what I'm saying. That's how good LeBron has been. And don't forget, the first year Kyrie barely played in the playoffs.
Well, he made it up to the finals.
Brian, he was injured the entire Bulls series. I believe he played one game.
Yeah, you're right. And then he came back.
The series was almost out the entire series. Yeah, he was available for the Celtics series, but he was basically crippled at that point. He could barely walk. I mean, what he did was pretty amazing considering he was playing on a broken kneecap.
Well, the broken kneecap came on that last play. It was a similar injury.
Right, it was already there. It just literally tore apart right there.
Yeah.
He was playing on it. I mean, there's a reason why he had knee problems a couple weeks leading up to the playoffs. Leading up to the final. Was because the kneecap was already at that point anyway, and then it just finally it was just all in one. There was nothing he could have even done to prevent that. Really, really, it was at that point where it was already, it was just tearing, and it was done. And don't forget, Kevin Love didn't play in the playoffs that year, other than the first game against, other than the first 3 games against Boston. He was out come game 3 or game 4.
Yeah,
they barely beat Chicago without him and Kyrie. And then, it was a tough series. And then, come game 6, they wiped the floor with them. And then, then you go and watch the Atlanta series where a team that went over 60 games, the Cavaliers just clobbered them.
So you're feeling good about the team. The roster isn't set until Kevin Love comes back. I just want to keep getting back to this, and we can wrap this up for today. I thank you for coming on again, but I'm really, really, really liking the energy, the well-rounded game, the headiness, and the ability to play with other players that Larry Nance Jr. is showing me. Talk to me more about Larry Nance Jr.
I still think, here's the thing though, let's take a look back at the Kyrie trade for a minute. Right now it's still looking like the Cavaliers got fleeced. However, that pick turns to number 1. I don't know if you got to watch the Arizona game last night with DeAndre Ayton putting up 32 and 18. No. Ayton will be the number 1 overall pick. This draft is stocked. If the Cavaliers win DeAndre Ayton, Boston will be regretting that trade. Let me mark the words on that one. If the Cavaliers, I think Ayton, from watching him, I'm not saying this is an Arizona homer, could be a better prospect than Anthony Davis.
Oh, now that's
how good he is. He's physical. He can shoot from the outside. He's more polished than Anthony Davis. He'll be a better, he is a better offensive player than Davis, and Davis is something else. Just remember this. Remember how much I loved Anthony Davis. I think DeAndre Ayton might be a better player.
Well, right now the Brooklyn Nets have the 5th worst record in the NBA. In all,
and they're sliding. They've won 3 out of their last 21 games. They're sliding like crazy.
Yeah, well, the Grizzlies lost 17 in a row. I mean, that's, they might be the trendsetter, and the Nets are coming off of a win.
No, the Grizzlies aren't even tanking. They didn't trade Tyrod Taylor. They didn't trade Marc Gasol. They're not actively even trying to tank.
So what are they doing? How's that happening?
They just injuries. But they're not even. I don't even think they were trying to tank. And
Right.
They didn't trade Marc Gasol when they could have. They didn't trade Tyrod Taylor when they could have. If they should have. And instead, they're talking here. What are they doing? I mean, this is John Hollinger, an analytics guy, running. At the forefront of this front office, and he, and they're not making the trade, which is surprising to me at least. Which I mean, I tend to think if the Cavaliers somehow land DeAndre Ayton, he's a can't-miss prospect. I basically would not trade him for anything unless you're getting an established superstar who's gotten multiple years left on his deal. And I'm talking like a Ben Simmons type.
Right.
That's it. That's it.
Who else? By the way, who else do you like in the draft? Like, if you had to rank your top few, who are you liking right now?
I like Marvin Bagley a lot from Duke. I love him. I think guys that have really soured on is a guy like Trae Young. I think Trae Young needs to go to a team. He reminds me of a lot of like a young Steph Curry, but he cannot be on a winner. He's going to be one of those guys that takes 4 to 5 years to really kick into gear. He turns the ball over too much. He's very reckless on the offensive end. So I just don't love him offensively right now. Yeah, the guy can shoot, but he is a turnover machine. If you're giving double-digit turnovers in college, you're going to be even worse in the pros. It could turn out to be an Emmanuel Mudiay situation, a guy who was a can't-miss prospect and got taken in the top 5, and just was a disaster because he cannot take care of the basketball.
Right.
A guy I like more in the short term, Colin Sexton. I love him from Alabama. I think he's going to be a very good player. This draft is very, very talented at the top. There's a lot of supreme talent here at the top of the draft, which is great. Especially if you look at if you look at teams like Arizona, if you look at teams like Texas, there is a lot of talent. I love Marvin Bagley from Duke as well. Like I said, I really do like this draft. I think no matter where you go, I think really the top 8 prospects. A guy like Michael Porter Jr., who we really haven't seen enough from. That's the problem. I like Porter Jr. a lot, but we haven't seen enough from him.
Okay. So,
because I'm trying. It's tough to say that, but I think.
Good.
I think that right now, I think that Ayton is by far the number 1 prospect in this draft.
Okay.
By far. You could look at other players too. I don't have Porter that high. I have Bagley that high. I like Mohamed Bamba from Texas too. He's a little bit more raw to me, my opinion. I mean, but there are a lot of talented players in this draft. I mean, you could literally go down there. And this is why the one thing that was good for the Lakers acquiring the Cavs pick was because now the Lakers might even be able to get an impact player down at 25, 26, wherever the Cavaliers pick.
Yeah, it's weird because we're gone are the days where the Cavs are competing for that best record in the league, and it doesn't really even matter. Obviously, it's more about gearing up for the playoffs. All right, well then, I was going to wrap this up, but now that we have the brackets put out, you want to do this a little later after you have a chance to look through it, or you want to run through the brackets?
Yeah, I mean, I literally I've been watching it on mute. So it's been a little tough. I want to go through it. I mean, all I saw was Arizona, the 4 seed so far, facing Buffalo in the first round. I want to go through it right now and see everything. I haven't had a chance to see where all teams are seated. I've been walking around. Okay. So, let's. If you're down for a show tomorrow or Tuesday.
Yeah, I can do
it.
Okay. We'll have a chat. When does the tourney start? We just had these come out.
I think the plan is Tuesday night or Wednesday.
Okay, well then maybe let's shoot for tomorrow if we can. Hit me up and let's see what works.
I'll be fine tomorrow if you want to go.
Okay, yeah, it's breaking. We obviously knew it was going to happen, but now we're getting everybody coming in, and Ohio State is the 5 seed playing San Diego State. Then in the bracket with West Virginia Bucknell, then Villanova the 1 seed over there. So I'll obviously be watching that a little closely. So, okay, cool. Well then, Zach, thanks for coming in, talking a little bit about making some sense of all of the Browns activity, and we'll try to do this again tomorrow and kind of go through the March Madness and see where it's at. And I'll be sure to hit you up. I think we're trying to do a bracket for the Unhappy Hour. Do you still do brackets, or you're not allowed to?
I know I can do a bracket now.
At one point, you were not allowed to when you were working with an NBA team, right?
Yeah, you're not allowed to do brackets at that point, at least for money. But, I mean, I could fill one out. I always filled one out.
Okay.
I always did the free one through ESPN. I mean, always. So just to see who I had.
Right.
All I know is every year I pick Arizona to win. I'm going to go against that this year. Even though I do think if they're ever going to win, having a prospect like Ayton, dominates during tournament time, just like they did in the conference tournament. However, I'm going to purposely pick against them this year because then I'd rather be wrong and see them win it all.
You do. Okay. No, I get your point. If everything you've always done has never worked, why not mix it up and see what happens?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Looking logically at it, though, if me filling out a bracket is the reason Arizona loses every year, then that's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, well, it's a little bit like George Costanza when he decides to go against all of his instincts, and he does everything the opposite. He ends up landing his dream job, and his whole life turns around.
On toast.
Yeah, exactly. Salmon swims upstream. Okay, cool. Well, Zach, thank you for your time. We'll come back. We'll aim for tomorrow for a March Madness show, and I appreciate your time. You have a good weekend, sir. We'll talk to you again soon.
Sounds like a plan.
All right, take care, buddy. That's Bye. Zak Baris, everyone. Follow him on Twitter. He's at ZBaris. That's ZBaris. We're going to sign out for now, but if you had some comments in our Facebook live group, for some reason, they just don't show up when I'm reading while I'm trying to watch. But thank you to James, Robert, Todd, Brian, Ryan, Mike, Tim, Matt, everybody else who logged in and watched us on Facebook. That's this camera. Thank you very much. If you're after the fact, you're on this camera. We're on YouTube, youtube.com/TheNewAmericanMedia. Thank you very much. Click subscribe. Click the notification bell. We're going to be back giving you more content soon. I know we keep saying that, but don't worry. We ain't going anywhere. But definitely for the Unhappy Hour signing out, I appreciate you. I love you. We'll talk again soon. Peace.